Surviving is easy in a post-apocalyptic world with EZD6 Wasted World. Let's check it out.
This is what Scotty calls a play set, or like a scenario to line up with your EZD6 books. So it doesn't have all the core rules, it's just a supplement. So it's nice that nothing's copied over, which I don't like. So I have the soft covers because I like the art on the soft covers a bit better. They hold up really well. These are the ones by Runehammer because I bought the 3 set, even though I had the hard covers. But when this came out, I had the hard covers from Drive-Thru, and then on Runehammer, he only had the soft covers, and it drove me insane, so I had to get all 3 to look the same. So I sold off my hard covers and got the soft cover for everything. But yeah, I love this art much better than just the black and green. This is a much nicer style for me anyway. So you can see more awesome art by Sean Bova. I hope that's how I pronounce it. It's pretty cool. Throughout, and that's what really sets this book up, is I like it when there's like a single artist. It just kind of makes all the art unified throughout the whole book, and that makes it an interesting read. So you can see the table of contents. We got the introduction about what the Wasted World is, a whole bunch of new survivors and new aspects, information about the Wastelands, some more really cool monsters, some new rules for the Wastelands, some more treasures, and a cool little mission maker. So he just talks about what a playset is, what the Wasted World is. So how it happened. The inn didn't go down as anyone expected. It just hit out of nowhere like a freaky psychedelic explosion that enveloped the world. The psycho storm, hanging in the sky like a shroud of doom. Mass psychosis broke out, society went haywire, and government crumbled like a house of cards. The ones that managed to survive faced brutal wars, unpredictable weather, crazy mutations, and environmental disasters. In this messed up world, a new breed emerged. Those who simply wouldn't give up. The diehards. Survivors. So that's basically the theme. There's like this big, he calls it a miasma, like this psychic energy that's just covering the whole world. And that's how you can kind of shoehorn in magic if you want it. So like psychic powers. That works the same as like the freeform psychic abilities in the first EZD6. There's some truths about the world. And then there's these little blurbs that are really cool that add flavor from Scotty. I really like that he adds this in here. It's really cool. It's a great way to kind of hear little advice from the GM. And it's cool to see a little picture of Scotty there. So you got how to create a survivor. So you start with your path. I think it's a bit more clear in here because when I first read the original EZD6, I thought you had to choose the path inclinations on my first read through, but here he does spell it out more clear that you have all of them automatically. It's just laid out a little bit better, so he's learning as he goes. So I like that. It's a little bit better set up. You got some more options. You have a lot more abilities, and there's different ones, different charts you can choose depending on what kind of player option you chose. You get your one edge, your aspects, which are fleshed out even more in this one. You got your gear and supplies, and gear in here is really cool because you'll be able to do some light modding, which is kind of cool. So you can kind of get that Fallout feel without it getting too clunky. So it's very easy. And then you can also get some different armor and things like that. So you got your all your survivors, and in the first one, the android, which I'm definitely going to pick when I play through this, hopefully pretty soon. I don't know, I just like that art. It's really cool, and I want to be basically a Terminator or something like that. So there's some flavor tests, like what you are. You've got your 3 strikes, your armor, avoidance, miasma resistance. So instead of magic, in the first game, you got miasma resistance. And then you get different inclinations. So in here, you get your path inclinations. And then there's a list later in the book a little bit that you get to choose a whole bunch of others and kind of mix and match and make your character a little bit different from others if you want. And then you get one edge specific to this class, so you can do a defensive shock, or you can kind of mimic voices. You get a whole bunch of starting gear like cobbled pistols, weapons, junk armor, tarp cloak, which I like. I just like that. Sounds pretty cool. You get some different wealth. Most of them are going to be poor, so you start hard up. And then you have metal and memory. So there's like a whole, each little class has this kind of like how to play it, or kind of not necessarily how, but kind of like flavor, like how it might help kind of flesh it out in your mind a little bit. So next you get the clone. A hidden cache or a technopod pops open. You are born. And then you have your stuff, your path, inclination. So you get regen, so you can kind of slowly regen, which is interesting. You get some inclinations. So in this one, you get a DNA mod. So this one has its own inclination. You get some edges, enhanced legs, enhanced coordination, some starting gear, your wealth, and then I wasn't born yesterday, it was today, and it talks a little bit about cloning. I don't know, this art just freaks me out. This emaciated guy here. Here you got more just typical survivors. You got the hunter with his inclinations. You're basically a survivalist. You have Wasteland Ranger, hunter's weapon. You get some more inclinations to choose from. You get a sneak attack or harvester. So when you kill monsters and creatures, you can kind of harvest their materials and make like bone spikes, bone armor and things. Some gear, your wealth, and then a little bit of a story blurb. Machine heads, your mechanic. You get a scrap boss to repair or construct mechanical objects. Repairs on any kind of stuff, so your gear will kind of wear down in this, so you can get that fixed up. You get your one edge, quick fix, your genius at fixing broken, or an AI palbot, which is what I would totally choose. Like, I would choose that. I would just choose this thing as my AI robot, like a little engine generator thing. Starting gear, your wealth, and then just a little blurb. Then you got your mutie or super mutants kind of thing. So you get a whole bunch of cool, like, super powery mutation kind of things that you can get. So that's really cool. You get an adaptive stomach, so you can eat radiation or whatever. And then you have torpor. After taking your last strike, you immediately hibernate. If medical help recovers a strike before the scene ends, return to consciousness. If not, you're dead. So then you have a rambler, so just a con man. That's pretty cool. You get traveling thespian or distractions. And then you get allies, legends after the fall. So you get all this lore and things like that. And then this dude who's totally awesome, just this crazy survivalist. You get the scrap seeker, the rubble rat, personal stash, no secrets. So you're all about scavenging with this character. And I like just don't mention the ducky. Wasteland warrior. So kind of Mad Max right there. That's pretty cool. You got war ready, two-fisted. You get a choose edge, prime specimen. So you get more strikes. It's kind of like this version of the barbarian almost. You get a little bit more strikes. The weird, which is basically a psychic wizard type of thing. So you get the same as in the original book, which I like, the neuroflux. So you can kind of make any kind of formless magic. I really love formless magic because I got crazy ideas. I don't just say, fireball, I cast a fireball. You know, you can make a whole bunch of really cool, weird things. Like maybe I summon all the scrap on the field into a giant scrap golem or something like that. That would be cool. Yeah, get mental shield. Again, I like that, the jack. So this one you can kind of build your own. It's pretty free. So you get some gear and you can choose 6 inclinations, which is cool. And then here are the inclinations. So you got survivor talent, so you can get like a cyborg, which I would totally do. Big guns, lucky, deal finder, lucky bastard, marksman. These are kind of, you know, basic survival kind of inclinations. And then these start getting the crazy ones, so the physical mutation, so only the muties can get that. So you can get like elongated limbs, prehensile tails, tusk horns, claws. Mental mutations, so these are only for the weirds, the little psychic wizard things. So you get a whole bunch of like spell kind of things if you want, like jaunt, you can teleport, drain living targets, mind force, precog. DNA modifications, so this is for your clone character. You get advanced taste buds, flexible skeletons. That's pretty cool. Biosynth, hidden compartment. You got a little bit of, looks like a little crane in there. That's pretty cool. And then the best one, you get, where'd it go? Milk blood. If you have consumed the day's rations, then up to 5 companions can drink your nutrient-rich blood to become, to be able to rest and heal overnight. but the android loses the healing of an overnight rest in the sacrifice. I love that he added milk blood. That's pretty cool. And then aspects, which is nice. The first one, aspects also confused me a little bit the first read through. So it's nice that he kind of added this table to kind of build some, or you can still make your own, of course. But it's nice to have a big list of things to kind of think about. And then he goes into the Wasteland. So the little differences here. So one of the big changes is holds. So you're going to have kind of like your base of operations and things that are there. So you have like banks, bastions, battle cages, garages, rat holes, recharge stations, and things like that. And you'll go on missions to kind of help repair or fix. So in here you can sleep at a hold. So you got different types of levels. You can recharge your devices. You can spend some money. And then there's the different wealth levels. So you're all going to start up hard up. And then where do I get gear? So it's like unlike EZD6, where people just amass a ton of loot. So it's a little bit more survivalist. So you only have 15 slots. And then if you wear a backpack, you get 5 more. If you get a pack rat, you can get another 3. So then there's sizes. So if it takes up 2 or 1 slot, 0.5 slots. You got supplies. So instead of like tracking a whole bunch of supplies, there's just like a supply die, essentially. There's a supply, like 1 supply. So it's very abstract. So supplies, you spend 1 supply per day for like the ration of the day. If you don't, you can't heal. 3 nights without rations, you start dying. After any shootouts in a 24-hour period, you have to consume 1 supply. So it's basically also your ammo. If you shoot with an assault rifle or a small machine gun, it consumes 2 supplies a day. And then you can carry 5 total supplies, unless you have backpacks and things like that. So I like that it's very abstract. I like kind of tracking a little bit, but I like it to be abstract, like how Alien RPG handles supply and things like that. Or I also like the supply die of Forbidden Lands, those kind of things. No bean counting, most of the time. Sometimes it's fun. So it just talks about acquiring supplies, scrap in the wasteland, range and distance. Then you start talking about gear. So in here, gear has a bit more flavor than in the original game because they just did strikes. So in here, you kind of have your standard weapons, melee weapons, Molotovs, and things like that, but you can also modify them. So you can kind of make them electrified, spiked, weighted, whirling blades, burners you can attach, nailer ammo, pressure canisters for grapplers or things like that. And then you have different quality ratings. So you have cobbled weapons in here, benchmark weapons, status weapons. So he made an interesting way, kind of make it easy. So if you roll a 1 on a cobbled weapon, it becomes jammed. So that's kind of fun. Then it has rules on grenades and explosives. And then a whole bunch of cool stuff you can take with you. Rope, flashlight, goggles, grappling hooks. You always got to have a grappling hook. And then all kinds of different kinds of drugs you can take. Drugs are bad, okay? Then you have driving. So there's really easy driving rules in here, which is nice. So vehicles basically are almost like a character. They have strikes of their own. And then you have light, medium, heavy, super. So there's structure saves instead of like body saves for the characters. Different maneuvers you can do. So like whoever the driver is. So same thing. It's easy, normal, hard, very hard. And you just roll your D6, see if you can do it. You can do ramming. And then here's some example vehicles and some heavy vehicles, some tank type things. And then same thing, you can mod your vehicle, put like a machine gun turret on it, Hellfire roaster. Hell yeah, flamethrower, man. How to do chases. And then just some more advice on how to run vehicles in the game. And then the best part, all the cool little crazy things Scotty comes up with. So you have different denizens. You can roll on this random table, or you can just go through here and pick stuff. You got the blister rat. That's awesome. You got the doom stomper and dark troopers. Gangers. The hitcher worm. The Graven, that's like, I don't know. I just think that vampire is hilarious looking. Kangamoose, dude. Killbots. You know, I love a robot with a Western hat. Morgdalworks, so they're like the little goblin-y creatures in this. You got Morlocks, which of course you have to have in a post-apocalyptic setting. Murdermonger, so you can do some Mad Max. And then the Pale Cone, so they're like a cult that worships pre-war kind of technology and stuff. I like how they have these traffic cones as their headgear, and then they have their sacred god artifact in a baby stroller. That's pretty cool. Pig dog, pit lurkers, rampaging amoeba. When I first flipped this page a long time ago, I thought it was this pterodactyl had like farted a jet stream. I don't know. I was like, what's going on here? Ravagers, those are always fun. Romero, so like your typical zombies. Saurax. Skullweeds. And the Shrieker, that thing's awesome. Slithar. Giant lizard things. Xeno Rippers. If you want to play a little bit aliens, I guess. And then some additional rules for Wasted Worlds. So a little bit on shooting and cover, stunning, some information on armor, dice pools, miasma resistance, crystallized miasma. So you can find like little items of crystallized miasma that you can kind of use to an effect. And you could even kind of use like maybe pre-war artifacts charged with miasma. And you can find like, I don't know, a Sony Walkman out in scrap and maybe it's charged with miasma. So it's pretty cool. You could use the Sony Walkman as like some kind of power for your weirdo. Mementos, some stuff on boons and banes. Contamination, in here it has rad rules, so some radiation and things like that. Contamination talks about like, you're gonna be out in the wilderness, so some of the things after you eat, you might have contamination, disease, things like that. Confirm crits with range weapons, more explosion rules, and then a whole bunch of optional rules. About karma, failing forward, breaking shields, using shields. So you could do like helmets too, I guess, if you wanted to do that. Overkill, villain dice, dead or mostly dead. No, you're dead. Spit in Death's Eye, interesting crits. Last thoughts. You could do a group stockpiling of stuff. Hardcore mode. I do like hardcore mode. You start with 0 supplies. That's really good. You could do hardcore mode for a solo. Really? That would be fun. You just kind of wake up and you have 0 supplies. And then you stumble across the whole, very Fallout, You get to loot supplies from enemies. And then he's got some new rules on leveling up and his optional rule of power dice. So then you have karma, you have your hero die, and then you have a power die. So you can purchase with XP if you're using that system. And then you can roll a power die and add those pips to your roll. And you can spend a power die to add the roll die to any dice pool in the game. Unlike the hero die, it will not replace the die, but just adds more to the pool. Spend a power die to gain insight from the rabble rouser or some advantage. You can spend 1 power die around to receive 2 karma. Spend 2 to recover a hero die. 1 power die for a full night's rest. Things like that. I have not used the power die mechanic. It was also in his optional rules, Brain Candy. I have not used the power die. I thought it was kind of too much, maybe, at least for how I seem to be playing. Because for me, even the karma rules, I was having a hard time. They just kept failing gaining karma, and then they could just use it. So the only way I was really damaging them was from environmental things instead of like enemies. The enemies would hurt them, but never kill them. But anytime it was like an environmental danger, fire, crushing boulders or things, those would always kill them. But anything else, it was really hard to hurt them. So my next playthrough, I'm going to definitely keep karma to only if you roll a 1. Which that's how I thought it was originally played. But, you know, I guess it just depends your group. Then you get some Treasure of the Wasteland. So you get a whole bunch of cool loot, high-tech loot. Like you get some energized weapons, EMP grenades, Havoc grenade, things like smart guns, stasis guns, and then information on some crystallized miasma, some types of wisp, psychic spore beacons, psychic armor, crystallized miasma types. You could have the power to levitate you, psychic tentacle. So these things all have abilities. Miasma kissed gear. So it's like a special, almost like magical weapons, essentially. Miasmic grafts, so you could graft it to you. Living hair, clawed feet, lashers. And then a whole bunch of just random loot that you can find. Some random gear, some drugs, modded weapons, those kinds of things. Wasteland gear, vehicle mods. And then the mission maker, which I love that he includes. Let's make some missions. You bump into a beloved cousin, a shadowy stranger, hyperactive ganger. Okay, so the mission is investigate, deliver, protect, acquire. What is it? Livestock. Asset here is heavy metal. It ain't pretty, but the target here is drugs. It's a blueprint. Just head for a nearby hold, a factory, crossroads, distant hold, Fort Crag, a gasoline depot. But watch out for ballistic traps, pit traps, gas, wreckage, and you'll have to contend with huge hulking mutant, Romero infestation, that kind of thing. Roll your chances. So whenever you have something you're not really sure, for example, survivors come across a vehicle, an unknown detail on their journey, survivors ask about the car's condition. If you're not sure, then you can, the rabble-rouser, the GM basically, can find out. So 1 to 2, bad luck. 3 to 4, what you might expect. Or 5, 6, good luck. So, you know, it could be they find a machine gun on the car, but it's all rusted out, can't be used. Or they find it and they use it. Or good luck. They find it, it can be used, and it has a full can of ammo. Gangs you might encounter. So that's cool. The serial killers, warheads, murder queens, gunny lads. I like that. It's funny. Feral funksters, capsule kings. Just some random dudes, some lady names, hold names. So you could be like the Echo Refuge or the Phoenix Crossroads. There's no GPS. Everything is rigged. Nothing funnier than the end of the world. So just a couple of GM notes. I love all this death traps. One of these is bound to get them. And then a big thank you. So yeah, this is Wasted Worlds. It's really awesome. I haven't played it yet. I really look forward to playing it with my group, but we're just stuck on something else at the moment. But we'll definitely get to it, and I hope you check it out, and I hope you have fun with it. Until we meet again, Rocket Punch! Later.